Well, top on the brief this morning is a confirmation of a nomination of Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede for appointment as Chief of Army Staff by the Senate. And the confirmation followed the consideration of reports by the Chairman of the Senate Committee on Army, Senator Yar'Adua Abdulaziz Musa. Well, the committee's recommendations were unanimously adopted by the upper chamber.
And that's not all. Staying with the upper legislative chamber, the Senate has passed the 2024 to 26 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper for the implementation by the federal government. The passage followed the presentation of a report by the chairman of the Joint Committees on Finance and National Planning and Economic Affairs, Senator Sani Musa. The Senate also tasked its committees on finance and petroleum, as well as gas, to investigate allegations of withheld funds by the NNPCL, including 8.48 trillion naira in petrol subsidies and $2 billion in unpaid taxes.
And out to business news, the National Pension Commission has announced that low-earning pensioners are now permitted to withdraw their total retirement savings en bloc or continue to receive their monthly pension pending the approval of a minimum pension guarantee. A memo signed by the head of the Surveillance Department of PENCOM, identified as A.M. Salim, said the development followed the new Section 41G of the revised regulation on the administration of retirement and terminal benefits, in line with the new minimum wage of 70,000 naira.
On the international scene, a Vietnamese court has upheld the death penalty for 68-year-old property developer Truong My Lan in a multi-billion-dollar fraud case. The court in Ho Chi Minh City determined that there was no basis to reduce the death sentence for Truong My Lan. She was convicted earlier in the year of embezzling money from Saigon Commercial Bank and condemned to die for fraud totaling $27 billion.
And British heavyweight boxer Daniel Dubois will defend his IBF world title against Joseph Parker in Saudi Arabia on February the 22nd. But the 27-year-old returns to the ring in Riyadh after making a spectacular first defense of his IBF belt against Anthony Joshua. Dubois knocked out his British rival inside 5 rounds at Wembley Stadium in September.
And let's talk to entertainment now, as Nigerian stars Rema, Tems and Ayra Starr made the list of Rolling Stone's top 100 albums released in 2024. Rema's sophomore album, Haze, is ranked 11th. Tems' debut album, Born in the Wild, was in at number 37, while Ayra Starr's The Year I Turned 21 takes 53rd spot.
Well, so there you have it, top stories making the rounds at this hour. But what have you been saying about the trending issues? Let's get right into it. We're starting off with the very first issue, and that concerns the arrest of activist and lawyer Dele Farotimi. And that has been on the news for almost a day now. And that is where we're getting started right now. And well, senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, has also been speaking, saying that Dele Farotimi arrested over alleged criminal libel. So what have you been saying? We'll start off with Omega XD, who says, "Dear Nigerians, continue to speak out against all forms of injustice to yourselves and others." So you might wonder what context this is, perhaps speaking about what we've known Dele Farotimi for, saying, do not let this stop you. But then where do you draw the line is usually the question. But clearly, a lot of people are saying this was not done in the right way and he should be released, including senior advocate Femi Falana.
And there seems to also be a disagreement about why exactly he was, or the details around why he was arrested, for criminal libel, allegedly. And, some Nigerians are talking about it. Let's see what Temitayo Fonle is saying. And they say defaming people is wrong on all sides. And please note, it's Afe Babalola and not Tony Elumelu. In bracket, we need to get our facts right always. This man is wrong, and we shouldn't just feel like defaming people should be a normal thing. And for the NBA and senior advocate of Nigeria and human rights lawyer Mr. Femi Falana, they have intervened on this matter, saying that criminal libel is no longer against the law in Lagos, and they quoted a certain case from about 2011 where that has been annulled as being against the law in Lagos and in Edo State. So we'll see how that plays out. But one question that one might ask is, for the legal department of most police stations, are the officials there quite acquainted with the law if these kinds of interventions are coming through, about the arrest of cases? And we could cite so many other cases of arrest, where there seems to be a conflict with the law in terms of the understanding of the legal department of the police. Mukai, do you have the next one?
Well, this user, the case has not gone to court yet, so we can't tell if he's wrong or not. We're not the court. This next user is Ekiti Princess, saying this is false. Uncle Dele Farotimi was not arrested due to Tony Elumelu or UBA. The arrest was initiated by Chief Afe Babalola, who filed a defamation petition with the Ekiti State Police Command. But a lot of people are attributing Tony Elumelu to this as well, because he had put out a statement, that's Dele Farotimi, and in, I think, the third paragraph of the statement, the second paragraph, he mentioned that he was presented with a petition written by a lawyer on behalf of Mr. Tony Elumelu, accusing him of defamation. I think that was, November the 13th. So that's how the name of billionaire Tony Elumelu came into the mix. But this case, for which he was arrested, appears to be because of a legal luminary, Chief Afe Babalola. But still, lots of facts are not clear just yet. So let's just wait and ensure that the right thing is done by the police, especially Bukola.
And this next one is by V. I'll just go with V. And V says, I am deeply disturbed by the Nigerian state. I'm deeply disturbed that our nation's free thinkers are picked up and harassed every other day like this. I am deeply disturbed by what Nigeria has become.
It was Fasai Sheyombo by the army, the military some days ago, and now Dele Farotimi by the police. We'll keep tabs on that, definitely, and bring you all of the updates as soon as they come in, and reiterate that the right thing must be done according to law in this case. But let's talk about the tax reforms, which, of course, has generated lots of controversy, and it looks like it's not over just yet. But we have the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 election, Mr. Peter Obi, speaking about this, and he's asking the federal government not to rush and allow public debate. And I imagine that's what the public hearing will be for. Don't forget, the bill as we pass the committees from there to public hearing. So I think we're moving towards that yet again. But take a look at the first comment from Joyce. That's Joyce with a lot of figures, saying we must pass the reform bill. Nigeria must move forward. That's the users thinking right now. We must go ahead with this.
Well, consultations are not out of the place, and I believe that was the position of the Economic Council when they requested, that it be stepped down for further consultation, particularly amongst governors. So it could not be out of place for further consultations to be done. And Channels Television has rightly intervened with that town hall, that brought about a lot of education about the tax reform bills. But it seems as if the reservations being expressed, particularly from different regions of the country, are still coming through. So we just may need to spend more time in debating the bill. Grand, with just one number, says that's how it should be. Allow for extensive and exhaustive discussion around the subject matter on both merit and demerits. Make it easy for the public to easily buy into the policy without issues.
There you go. The next user is IBK John. IBK John says, I watched a proceeding on TV first and second reading. The Deputy Senate President presided the meeting. Guess what? It's a clue. Once it's an executive bill, it needs a lot of hands on deck. It's a bit tricky understanding what IBK is trying to say here. But basically, it needs a lot of hands on deck. That's what the user is saying.
Well, let's make progress. Innocent Onwilie says, public debate that will last... Well, we get you. We get the humor part. That will last 20 years or more. Is this how he would have developed Nigeria from consumption to production in 8 years? That comes with a lot of skepticism and sarcasm in the mix as well. So it doesn't have to take 8 years. It doesn't have to take 20 years. But the important thing is that the work should be done in the process of consultation. And when implementation is done, it should be seen to be transparent as much as possible. And should at the end of the day, encourage production, which is the ultimate. The most important part of this conversation about the tax reform bills for, other states of the Federation to encourage industrialization, such that there can be more opportunities, contained therein in that new derivation formula for distribution. And, more states can take more of the measure that is coming to them.
Well, the next user is, in fact, named Much More. Still skiing into what you're talking about, much more grace. And it's just basically saying if Nigeria wants tax reform, Nigeria should first of all open up other regions like Lagos. All Nigeria's seaports and airports must have equal status as Lagos. So if you say all regions must be opened up, not all regions have water bodies, for example. So would we channel the water to those states or those regions? I'm not sure. But it goes on to say you don't keep everything in Lagos and expect others to accept tax control. This is definitely does not have any. I think it's important to read the bills first, if you have time. Or if you have some AI tool, ask it to summarize the bill for you. But I advise that we all read that bill as much as we can. It's not too much. Just see it as a novel, a thriller that you're reading before we then begin to make comments. Because a lot of people are making comments of other people's comments. And those people that they're relying on are probably not read the bill anyway. So it's just a lot of perhaps ignorance going around. So let us read the bill and ensure that we speak from informed positions. I think that would really help this.
Yeah. Do we have more time for more of the reviews?
I think we can take a pause on that.
Okay.
Don't forget, keep it coming, #CTV Morning Brief, or you could just do it on WhatsApp. Let us know what you think. We're starting off with a very important conversation this morning, Bukola.
Yeah, and that would be, that big cache of property, that seizure made by the EFCC. We're going to piggyback on it and take views extensively from stakeholders who are looking into that anti-corruption space to see how effective it is, to see how indeed balanced it is, not just covering what many would see as the cybercrime space, the Yahoo space, but how democratic is it to cover politically exposed persons. So it's an important conversation that we're having this morning.